It was Adora that we met and fell in love with.
So pattern making is my favorite part of any project. I love playing with silhouette. Um, for this, I started with my basic bodice block, and I'm going for kind of a fitted suit jacket style and finish and construction and fit. So that's where we're gonna start. The sleeve, I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do yet. We're gonna start with a regular fitted sleeve and kind of blow it up and play with it, and we'll see what happens.
Alright, so there's only a couple small things that I want to change here. I'm pretty happy with it. The biggest thing is that I need to increase the cup size a little bit, and you can see this most in the way that the front is like pointing away from the rest of my torso, and the way it's kind of crunching up under the arm here. The number around is not too bad. I might add like a quarter of an inch or something, because you can see it's pulling right here at the top of the closure a little bit. But I basically just need to like add a little bit of length and then a wedge that goes out to 0 at the side seam, and it'll kick all this down. And I think when I do that, the waist will be sitting where it's supposed to as well. Right now this pin is the waist, it's a little bit high, so once the length gets added, I think all of this will be sitting down where it needs to go. So that's the biggest change. The collar is really pretty good, I think. You can see this big wrinkle right through the middle of it. You can see it right here on the back. If I pinch this out, it's kind of just making this piece that's like a rectangle with a bit of curve have more curve to it in the back part. So I think that's all I need to do. It just needs to curve a little bit more to go this part that goes over the shoulder. Might shorten it a little in the back. It's definitely really high. I don't know if I want it like quite up in my hairline like that. And then the last thing is this armhole. And I'm looking at the reference images. It seems like to get the right angle on her ridiculous sleeves, it has to start a little further in on the shoulder, which is going to be interesting. And I still like, this is the next stage of the toile fitting. I'm going to make like a regular fitted sleeve, and then I think I'm going to build the fun 80s sleeve on top of that, so that we can see if the slash wants to make the lower half of the sleeve like fall down or something, then I would have something to like tack it to. But anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna build the big sleeve off of this new shoulder seam line right here. Maybe this one, maybe a little further out. What do you think? It's kind of hard to tell. I have fairly square shoulders anyway, but this block did include a little bit of room for a shoulder pad, so I might put that in. We'll see. It does help a little bit with the like chest collapse right here. So I have to deal with it either way. It feels kind of tight though. I'll either put a shoulder pad in or I'll like draft it out. I'll just make it a little shorter there. I clipped the seam allowance on this side, and you can see it's a lot better than this side, which kind of looks too tight. It's like doing the classic too tight tension lines. It's just seam allowance, so I think that'll work. I could drop it a little more. I kind of like having the high armhole though. It's good for mobility. I need to do those action poses. So yeah, pretty happy with this neckline. First I thought maybe I should cut it like in a little more, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, no, I like it like that. I may have to twill tape this on the real thing so it doesn't stretch. I stay stitched it on the twill, but it was And it did help. This side's staying pretty well. This side's a little bit stretchy. So yeah, that's the draw. Good times, learning lots of things. Alright, let's go fix it.
Alright, so here I've got my muslin sleeve all pinned on, and I'm going to try and pattern a little support doodad for the inside of the sleeve. It'll look like this. It'll go on the inside of the sleeve, and I'll cut it out of some canvas or maybe horsehair to try to hold the sleeve up. If it gets crushed, that way it can kind of spring back. Alright, now that we've got all the pleats marked with a Sharpie, I'm going to go ahead and take them out and transfer this big piece of fabric that I've just kind of been playing with to an actual paper pattern. Make that sleeve. You can see what I did for support here. I just rolled up a little bit of nylon horsehair, 1-inch stuff that you usually put in hems. I think that's what I'm going to do for the final thing too, because it worked so well.
Alright, here's the pattern for Adora's jacket. Here's the ridiculous sleeve. The top's going to get all pleated in to make that point. This little guy, I haven't decided if I'm going to make a pad or a piece of canvas or something, but it just sits on the top of the shoulder to hold the top out and keep it from collapsing. This is the collar piece. Gets cut on the fold in the back. This is the front. It's got 2 darts. I've drawn some lines for my interior pieces. This line is going to be the front facing. I am going to cut this part of the facing out of the same white wool as the collar so that there won't be like a red line if you see a little bit of the inside of it, and then this lower part will be red, just like the outside. I've also drawn a second line that's a little bit fainter, but it goes right here. This is going to be canvas. It's going to go all the way up into the shoulder. Since it does cross the darts, I'll have to cut those open and zigzag them closed to keep the shape. But that will just firm up the neckline, hopefully keep it from stretching, and keep everything nice and like sturdy so it can't collapse and get all crinkly. This is my little like secondary sleeve line. Let's see if we can get a better focus on it. I am gonna leave the original shoulder sleeve attachment line so that I have some area to attach my little like crescent guy on. A little bit of area for the padding to sit, but this dotted line is where the sleeve cap is actually going to attach to. With the facing line, we're also going to make lining pieces that are just like this area that has not been drawn in facing. Side back is pretty self-explanatory. Nothing too crazy going on there. The back piece, the bottom is nothing special, but at the top we've got another canvas area. I'm just going to cut like the upper back neck here out of canvas and put it on the inside to keep it nice and sturdy so the collar can't pull out of shape, and it has a little something to help hold it upright. And then we've also got a facing piece. So we'll cut the facing, we'll cut this area out of lining, we'll make it a little bigger in the back the way you do for suit jackets so that it can't pull up at the waist or anything, and I'll show you that in the cutting because I think that's where we're going to do it. I'm not going to make a separate pattern, paper pattern for this since it's all just me. I'll just draw as I'm going. So that's the pattern. Now that we've got a pattern, let's get cutting. With the hem pressed up like this, I really like what it's doing at the side seam, so I don't think I'm gonna take it in there at all. I think I'm gonna let it just be out a little bit like that. You can see here it's gaping a little bit. I could add another hook, but I think the belt's gonna cover it anyway, and it's also gonna help like smoosh the fabric a little more forward. I really like what the side seams are doing. They're wrinkling kind of awkwardly right now. I think part of that's because the sleeve isn't there yet to hold it all up into the arm. Once that's there, it'll be nice and straight. You can see the bias part of the neckline is stretching quite a bit. More so on one side than the other, but we can always kind of shrink that back in with some cotton tape and some steam. So we're gonna do that. The collar's working nice. It's doing pretty much just what I want it to, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, next steps are to take care of those little things, get the sleeves on after this. I'm gonna finish this edge because the sleeves are gonna be attached like further in to make room for these little canvas supports. And then after that, we're gonna put lining on it. It'll be done. It's really pretty close. Oh, we're gonna turn this right side in, obviously. This is a Victorian fitting method that I really like, where you get the front closure all squared away how you want it, and then you baste the side seams inside out so that you can see really immediately any fit changes you might need to make at the side seams. Makes everything pretty easy. So it's pretty easy to take them in or out and just flip them to the inside and so on. Alright. Yeah, we're getting there. So I just wanted to show you the inside of this real quick. Made an extra little placket for the hooks and eyes. Dropped in the lining. There's facings on both of the lining edges. And the facings go all the way up around the inside back neck. I did white facings for the white collar, just so that if you saw this edge, it wouldn't be a red edge. Sleeve edges, you can see I just turned the lining in and fell stitched it all the way around, and then I serged the raw edges here. You already saw my sleeve support earlier. For the inside of the sleeve, I cut this extra rectangle piece, so the slash turned it into the inside and just stitched this pinked edge down. Sleeve just gets gathered into this little band. So yeah, that's all her secrets. Things by me, feel free to click the subscribe button and like button to see more from me. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you'd like to see